Hi! Today we are back to take another look at more Twisted Metal knockoffs. So last time we played two games, Rogue Trip and Critical Depth, which were actually way better than I expected. Usually when I think of knockoffs, I think of cheap copies of a game that are way worse than the original, but as it turns out, sometimes, just sometimes, you can find something unique in the middle of the pile of garbage that are most of them. And also in the last video, a lot of you started asking me again to play the Vigilante 8 series. I have been hearing about that since the Twisted Metal videos, and those were a long time ago, but even before that I remember some people mentioning it whenever the subject was Twisted Metal, so I simply had to play them. One interesting thing that always happened is that whenever people talked about Vigilante 8, they would talk about the second game. Most people went out of their way just to make sure that if I were to play it, I should make sure that it's the sequel and not the original. I mean, sure, I can understand that sequels are usually a better version of the original. Mortal Kombat 2, Twisted Metal 2, Need for Speed 2. Yeah, I don't know about that one. But it felt like people wanted to forget the original, so of course I simply had to play it too. Vigilante 8 is a game developed by Luxoflux, who you may know for amazing titles like True Crime Streets of LA, Shrek 2, and of course, Kung Fu Panda. They also made another game that a lot of people requested called Star Wars Demolition. Still gotta get to that one. Oh, another thing I should mention, there's another game called Interstate 76, developed and published by Activision, who also published Vigilante 8. It's another car combat game with basically the same themes, taking place in the 70s and even sharing the same fictional companies in the game. However, I don't really understand if they take place in the same universe or not. I did some small digging and it says in the Wikipedia page for Vigilante 8 that it has no connection to Interstate 76. But when you go to the Interstate 76 page, it says that Vigilante 8 is a spin-off, so really, I have no idea. The game begins with a cutscene of some cars getting into a military installation, and when they get there, there's already people stealing something and the fight starts. That's when you're brought to the main menu. You know, I think the reason why some people say you can skip this game is because how simplistic it is. You have a 2D menu, a groovy sound in the background, you can pick your character and that's it. There's just nothing more to it. It certainly gives cheap feels to it considering what they were doing in Twisted Metal and Critical Depth. And hell, even Rogue Trip, as simple as it was. You'll then pick a level and get a bit of your character's story. And here's the interesting thing. You have two groups fighting each other in this game, the Vigilantes and the Coyotes, and each of them have their own story that you can play through. There isn't a lot to it, but it's good to see that you only fight the bad guys if you pick a Vigilante, and you only fight the good guys if you pick a Coyote. The gameplay here is actually pretty good, for how lacking it is, which is good if you're a fan of simple gameplay. For real though, there's like 4 or 5 weapons and then your character's special weapon. And really they look mostly the same, at least for me. Oh, and maybe it's just me, but the mines are basically useless in this game. Most of the weapons you pick up trace your opponents even if they're behind you, so the mines are just really not a very good choice. Well, considering most of the fights you'll be in are gonna be like this. But okay, let's take a step back. The graphics in this game are not bad. I think the maps look pretty good and you get a lot of variety in this one. And from what I've seen, most of the things you see in the level can be destroyed. Also, being able to see the weapons you pick up getting attached to your car and being there while you shoot them is a very nice touch. Your car also has some damage models that look pretty good, and even small details like cars will break where you shoot them instead of having a static damage model. I also noticed another effect that makes the ground all wobbly, but I have no idea what made that happen or how to reproduce it. But it was pretty cool. The gameplay is exactly what you would expect. You have cars fighting each other, some are faster, some are stronger, some have better weapons, but what made this stand out more to me was how they handle. Instead of having vehicles that control like paper cars, they have a realistic feel to them, being heavier and acting more physics-based. It's probably better to play with your friends because, well, but it's still very fun. The music is actually pretty groovy in this one, though it sounds very generic. I don't think they'll be stuck with me for too long, but I can definitely see you having a nostalgia overload if you played this one as a kid. Oh, and of course, the endings. Well, don't expect anything from it. I hate to say it, but just like I mentioned in the last video, the endings are a big part of what got me into Twisted Metal in the first place. And while you do have a very simple story told through text for each character, none of the endings are really worth mentioning. They're all under 10 seconds and will just give you a small glimpse of what happened to that character after you finish the 4 levels of the story mode you have. And yes, there are only 4 levels in the story mode for each character. You can finish this game in 15 minutes. I'll give you a few examples of the endings just so you can understand what I'm talking about. Houston 3 is controlled by someone and is programmed to fight the vigilantes. In her ending, you'll see her remove her ship and she moves on with her life. That's it. In Convoy's ending, he takes off the weapons of his truck, meet up with Houston and drive away. That's basically it. It's as basic as an ending can get. I felt like this was a fine game for what it is, a simple start for a vehicular combat game, and I was now eager to see what the second game had in store. Would it be an amazing sequel or just another knockoff that couldn't get close to what Twisted Metal was? Find out in the next episode of... Nah, I'm kidding. The sequel was released a year later, made by the same devs, and this one starts with an intro of Convoy and Houston 3 driving a truck. And they get attacked by time travelers, and get thrown off a cliff. Everything here is basically the same, very simplistic and basically untouched. Almost like your mom before I met her. Apparently they simply got the original game and made some additions to it, making the original feel more like a demo to what was coming the next year. It seems like it has basically the same story, but I was a bit confused because there's now another group called the Drifters. So I went to check out what was going on in the wiki, and it seems like I'm missing some story here. But basically, they are just more people that took part in the war between them without being from a specific group. You get way more characters now. 3 characters for each of the 3 factions and 9 more unlockable. Totaling 18, and you can also change the color of your vehicle now, which was pretty cool. As you would expect by now, the graphics in this game are also basically the same, but with some improvements. The damage models are the biggest upgrade, with them now having more dynamic things like the trunk of the car opening and being all wobbly throughout the gameplay. The levels are also more complex this time around, not only because they probably knew how to work better with the engine, but because the gameplay changes they made. You can now pick up some power-ups that transform your vehicle so it can be used in different environments. So, for example, there are levels that have a lot of water in them, so you can look around and find a power-up that makes your car able to drive in the water, so you can pick more weapons and power-ups. From what I gather, there's only 3 of those. One that makes you drive in the water, one that makes it easier for you to travel in snow, and another one that makes you fly, which, in my opinion, is easily the worst of the bunch. I think it's a cool addition to it, but at the same time it can be pretty annoying to use. The snow level, for example, is almost impossible to play without the transformation because your car can't really drive around in the snow. So you're just stuck to one part of the level until you pick one of the transformations. Oh, and a lot of the battles still end up like this. The music here is a very big improvement though, so make sure you check this one out on YouTube because it has an amazing quality for the time. I also noticed that this song sounds really close to Highway Star by Deep Purple, so there might be other songs that I didn't recognize that they may have taken inspiration from. Let me know if you know any of those. And the endings are, again, a bit of a letdown. They're fine if you're not expecting too much. They are longer than the last game, but they still won't make any type of impression on you. The one that stands out the most is easily Houston 3's ending. It shows her getting the time travel device and going back in time to save Convoy, and well, that's it. It just ends. But really, in conclusion here, I can see why so many people really like this game. It has a really solid gameplay that if you play with friends, it probably matches Twisted Metal. It's not the same, it has a different take on vehicular combat and it tries to bring something different to the table. Not to the size of Critical Death, but still enough to stand out. The music in the second game is also really good, and even though most of the songs aren't exactly my jam, I can still appreciate how much work they put into that. I still think it falls a bit short on the presentation and story. I thought that would be better by the second game, but sadly it didn't really stick to me and the characters were just not memorable to me. Besides Houston, but maybe that's because she's almost like the main character. But yeah, I guess that's it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. It really helps me a lot. I'll still keep an eye out to see more games like these and already got some in line, but if you have any different ideas of Twisted Metal knockoffs, let me know in the comments. And as always, a huge thank you for our new members: Cake is a Lie, Thierry Van Loon, Mark Smith, Keeping J, and another special one to Turk because last time something went wrong with the video and it didn't show up, but thank you for your patience, Turk. Being a member is really the best way you can support the channel, so really, thank you so much to every one of you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care!